In the beautiful landscape of a funny little game called Overwatch, you are presented with a simple task to achieve victory. Sometimes you just need to control the point in the middle of the map longer than the enemy team, and other times you have to escort a giant robot who can clearly walk by himself. Yet he chooses to be a little crybaby about everything. The only thing stopping you from achieving all objectives is the enemy team that actively tries to kill you and your allies. Simply dying just puts you at respawn. But what if I told you there are ways to not only send your opponents to respawn, but also cause some serious mental damage to them and their team? Today, I will show you 5 worst ways to die in Overwatch, just to make your enemies suffer. Before we start our list, I'll quickly remind you that some of those methods are harder to execute than just simply shooty tooty, so be prepared. Also, since you got past the intro, you clearly want to see the rest of the video, so why not subscribe? We are almost at 1k subscribers mark, and all it takes is a few people to make my life just a little better. Thank you, and now let's start our list. On the 5th spot, we have the dummy Winston strategy. To execute this properly, I'd say you need to implement some acting skills to increase the effectiveness of this strategy. What we want to accomplish here is to maximize the rage of either the supports or DPS of the enemy team, depending on what they are playing. As I said before, some spots on this list will be hard to execute, but this one is the easiest. Simply dive the squishy targets as you'd normally do, but make sure that after killing them, keep on firing your primary fire. This is very important because what this does is show to the enemy player that you probably didn't even notice you killed them, making you look like a noob, but they cannot be further from the truth. They are forced to see on their death cam the stupid Winston that shoots nothing. You know who you just killed, and acting like a complete blind person will cause the enemy's blood to boil. They might even say some nice words on the match chat, and that is the perfect moment to specifically target this one person. In case they swap to another hero to counter you, best example Reaper, just switch targets. Avoid him. Do not even take into consideration his existence anymore, because you already achieved your goal. Not only they no longer play the hero they wanted, but also their mindset is now switched from taking the objective to hunting you down. Your team will thank you, and all it took was holding one button just a few seconds longer. On the 4th spot, we will welcome something very classic, but unfortunately something insanely difficult to pull off, and this is Widowmaker trickshotting. We all know what it means to trickshot. You shoot your grapple into a high object, press spacebar to cancel it, launching yourself high into the sky, and landing that sweet headshot. Do not attempt this method if you are not certainly sure you can pull it off, because if you fail too many times, you'll quickly become the laughingstock of the enemy team, and a huge disappointment to your allies. What I can strongly recommend in this situation is still playing Widowmaker, but focus on putting very aggressive traps. They not only provide good utility to your team, but also the poison damage might annoy someone unfortunate enough very fast. Here are a few tips to placing aggressive traps. Place them behind corners. Place them higher than someone's line of sight. Don't be afraid to just throw them randomly in the enemy team's direction. And lastly, utilize your grapple as an excellent escaping tool and try to place the traps at the enemy respawn. Every elimination earned this way will do extreme mental damage, and even if it doesn't look or sounds effective, trust me, dying to a Widow's Venom trap is really embarrassing. Okay! 3rd spot will also be taken by a long-time classic, that is the Mercy helicopter ambush. Supports are usually seen as those defenseless sitting ducks that can only provide healing to their team, but as soon as you pull out the Glock, you no longer are in danger. You are the danger. Combine this with the unlimited ammo that your Q grants you, and you instantly become the unhittable yet very dangerous target. To make your enemies feel even worse, try to emote hello after every single kill so the enemy team knows you are the boss here. Overall, I'd say killing anyone as a support is kinda embarrassing, but Mercy's pistol is known for its very low damage and very funny hitboxes, so it is the best weapon of choice to cause the most amount of mental damage. The The second spot will spice things up, as it's directly linked to one of our newest heroes, Junker Queen. Her kit isn't as annoying as Roadhog's, but she has this one specific attribute that makes enemies suffer. You might think it's the Magnetic Tomahawk or the anti-heal granted from the ult, but no, we are taking into consideration the least powerful item in her arsenal, that is the melee weapon. Why is it different than any other hero's melee? Well, as most of her abilities, it also grants the bleeding effect. Having a shotgun but choosing to melee your opponents to death instead of shooting will raise a lot of questions, and that is the exact reason you will do it. Confuse your enemies, make them question your decisions more than it is necessary, make them waste time on chat, why are you not using your primary weapon? All of this combined will cause the enemy players to feel dominated by your brave and well thought out strategy. Of course, I don't recommend doing this in team fights, but rather to finish off everyone left as soon as you get 2 or 3 picks, and you are sure that your team is winning, so you have time and resources for your shenanigans. Make them bleed and make them suffer. Before we get to our number 1 spot, here are some honorable mentions. Going full on DPS mode as Baby Diva, Sneaky Moira, playing regular Symmetra, DPS Baptiste, and lastly, non-stop spam Junkrat. If you want me to make a separate video about these 5, then let me know down in the comments, but right now get ready, because the number 1 spot in the reliable, almighty powerful gift from the gods high above the Torbjorn hammer. This one is so classy, so memeish, and so iconic that I couldn't just let it slide through. The maximum punishing power you wield with this tiny repair tool being held by the tiniest character in the game is the ultimate worst way to die in Overwatch. To give even more power to the dwarf, you are not becoming a one-trick teammate by doing one shtick the whole game and being slightly less useful to the team. You still can place your turrets that do annoy the enemy team and deny some good sightlines, and also the mental damage the dwarf can do is above anything I mentioned on this list. To make things even simpler, you also have your overdrive ability that not only grants you some very useful HP, but also the bonus attack speed it gives applies to the hammer. You actively show your enemies that you don't need your primary weapon to dunk on them. All you need is a stupid hammer that bonks their knees. Bonus points if you get hammer kills in ranked. And my dear potatoes, that is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, I would really appreciate some likes and subs, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!